Karen, I can only imagine some of the difficult questions that parents are now hearing and teachers are hearing from their young students after the aftermath in Oxford, which is really, am I safe? Do we know that this will never happen to me?
So that's a really good question. And I think that it's difficult for us as adults to answer. But one of the things that I've really kind of moved adults toward thinking about is letting kids know they are safe, that there are adults, teachers, there's certainly presence of other kinds of, government officials, police, firemen. There are so many people out there that are out there to keep us safe. Especially in the classroom, teachers are trained in this and trained in knowing how to respond to any kind of crisis. And so the idea is that we should be letting kids know that school is a safe place to be and that it's okay to be there.
In your work now with Oakland schools, you are in Oxford and you are helping the teachers who deal with our youngest students and figuring out how to move through this and how to talk about it. What are you telling them? And what are some of the things then, I guess, as parents that we can take away about how to talk to our kids?
So it's interesting because I think we have to think about the different age groups. And so different kids at different ages will understand different things. Very, very young children, so those that are infants and toddlers, probably have no idea what's been going on themselves. However, they do react to the adults around them. So when there are adults around them that are having difficulty managing this, it is the kids will feel it. They will physically feel it from the adults. So we have to really do our best. I continue to tell adults, self-care is really not about self-care. It's about you being in a good place to care for the kids. So I kind of push that a little bit with the infant toddler teachers. Teachers of preschool kids, so those 3s and 4s, it's again, a whole different level of understanding. They may have heard things and they may have questions. So the one thing that I've been really trying to get teachers to understand and parents to understand, just give them an answer to their question. Keep it short, keep it sweet and small, because oftentimes that they just wanted an answer and then they move on. And that's kind of how 3 and 4-year-olds behave. As you move into elementary school, there's going to be a lot more understanding of what has occurred. And so again, it's adults being present with kids, listening, spending a lot of time listening and hearing what kids have to say. And kind of, again, going back to letting them know they're safe. We are going to take care of them. And that's what they need so that they can learn. If they don't feel safe, they can't learn.
And when you kind of move up the chain and you're working with older kids too, and I have 3 teenagers, a middle school and 2 high schoolers, sometimes it's also not solving it for them and just sitting and being with the uncomfortable grief, anxiety, and fear of what's happening and saying, yeah, this is how it feels when something like this happens 10 minutes down the road from you.
And what's interesting with that, and one of the questions that had come up with a group of teachers that I was talking to that have kids in high school, they were asking me, should I make sure that my kid gets into some kind of mental health counseling? Mm-hmm. And what I had said was, does it sound like that's what they need? So kind of listen very carefully, but also to know what I think will be happening more of. Kids, especially in high school, they don't want to talk to their parents. They really want to be with their friends in most cases. So maybe it's thinking about having them get the friends together, having an adult nearby, whether that's a professional or a parent, but at least letting the kids lean on each other and share their experiences with one another. That's really important in this. In high school, they really need each other.
And they're reaching out a lot and talking on social media, which has also been a component of sometimes stoking the fear, sometimes stoking you're not quite sure what the right information is. But I guess, Karen, talk to me a little bit about the importance of that connection and the exchange, I guess, of thoughts with each other like that.
I in a sense, it is good. This is one of the avenues that kids connect. This is how they do. I feel like I'm old because certainly wasn't around years ago. And so how they're connecting, right? So this is the way that they're able to have conversations. They don't pick up the phone, but they have their conversations through social media. And again, that's okay. But I want an adult to kind of have a clearer mind to be checking in with them. I think that's important because rumors can turn into something worse. And that's what we want to make sure isn't happening. We don't want kids to hear false information. So, so one kid might hear something and, it can spin out of control. And we just want to make sure that it's an adult checking in to make sure that kids are safe.
We talk so much about safety drills, and school shootings have been a part of our lives here in America for 20 years. But when it happens, you think about how are we prepared? And I guess, how would you explain the mental health component with Oakland schools and being able to reach out to a district like Oxford and work with them now when they've had to face really the unthinkable?
So one of the things that we're doing here is we're really trying to be interconnected. So we do have kind of one person who's kind of taken and streamlined a lot of the services so that we are kind of coordinated in what we're doing. And so us at the ISD, we are collaborating with local mental health agencies to get support for our programs. When children return to school, there will be mental health professionals in our school, in those schools. And also there will be people from Oakland schools who are there partnering with the mental health agencies. We want to be part of that process. So that's kind of the process that we're hoping to go through. I'm not sure necessarily how much children will actually reach out to those mental health professionals. However, sometimes just knowing that they're there makes you feel better.
But what is the long form thing that we need to think about as parents for our children, and to talk to them about things that may or may not happen in life?
I think as we move through this is going to be a process. This is going to take some time here. I think I don't want anybody to think that this is going to end very quickly. I really feel like the re-traumatization can happen. I think we saw it on Friday night at the vigil when we saw some kind of emergency that happened and people started to run, and it really comes to that's a trauma response.
Can you explain that? Can you explain re-traumatization?
So it's the idea that once we've been in a traumatic situation, that truly our entire body feels it. Our entire body, if we want to separate our brain from our body, we can't. It's all part of the same system. So what you feel trauma through your whole body. And so what happens is when you start to go into that calm state again, and you're feeling better, if something can trigger it. And again, in this situation, it was, somebody fainting, I think, in the crowd, that someone screamed. And as soon as they heard the scream, your mind goes to remembering what that scream was like in
the worst case scenario. Yeah.
Yep. And your body reacts. Your body is going to move into fight, flight, or freeze. And so people start running, some people are ready to fight. Some people just freeze and shut down. So that's, I think, a big piece too, is that we have to think about keeping as much calm as we can for kids to give them a chance to recover from this. It's going to take time.
What else should we be thinking about as we move forward as a community?
I'm loving, when I was in Oxford this morning, I was just so impressed with the outpouring of so many local, even just restaurants saying, do you need lunch? We'll send you lunch. I mean, like, that was just beautiful to think that people really are trying to come together. I think people don't know exactly what to do. Mm-hmm. Feeling okay with silence is okay. I think for the adults, I really want them to know to take care of themselves so that they can take care of kids, because these kids are depending on us. And I also want you to everyone in this situation needs to really look at how long this is going on. So when you start to see trauma responses and they're going on for more than 4 to 6 weeks and they're not getting better, definitely seek a mental health professional. But I think as a community, what we're going to see is a lot more healing and a lot more coming together, and hopefully a lot more feeling safe. But it's going to take time. And I think we have to allow ourselves that time.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.